arrest. The subject tried to take the officer's gun, struck the officer several times in the face. Backup officers arrived and the subject continued to violently resist and was eventually taken into custody. The officer received multiple cuts, abrasions to his face, and he has given us permission to release his information. It's Officer Charles Bourne. He's an 8-year veteran from Tampa Police Department. You know, these are the type of things that our officers have been dealing with lately. You know, tensions are high out there in our neighborhoods. These are troubling times, to say the least. Before I move on to any questions, I'd like to discuss a traffic stop that occurred on Thursday regarding a stolen vehicle. Thursday at 4:52 in the afternoon, an officer observed a 2020 black Nissan Altima with 2 occupants inside. A check of the tag showed that the vehicle was reported stolen. The officer conducted what we call a felony traffic stop on the stolen vehicle and waited for backup prior to approaching the car, all the while calmly explaining each step to the occupants of the car. The driver of that car portrayed a narrative where we had to respond by releasing our own body-worn camera video to show the facts of what happened. The entire time the officer remained calm, followed protocol, keeping the occupants informed of what was expected. These are the difficult times that are going on right now. People are taking their own version of the facts, condensing it to their story or whatever their narrative is, and it's not helping things right now in the current climate that we're in. Does anybody have any questions?
If I could start with the last one first, if you will.
I'm sorry.
Do you mind if I?
Yeah.
Starting with the last one first. The woman posted her video on Instagram saying, you know, he pulled me over, he had a gun at my head. I believe the video shows approximately 4.5 minutes where the officer has his weapon drawn, but not necessarily pointed at her. According to what you just said, did the officer in this instance do everything right? Should he have had his gun drawn with no threat of danger?
Well, yes, he should have. And we have the officer put his gun what we call a low ready, where it's not pointed directly at the person, but it's already out and can be easily raised if they have to defend themselves or take action. You know, stolen cars are quite often used. You know, why are you in a stolen car? Usually, it's used to do a different type of crime, whether you're going to rob somebody, break into houses. It usually leads to more crimes, other crimes, and that's why we take such caution when it comes to stolen cars. What's interesting was after our investigation of that afternoon, the woman who posted the video was not even arrested. She was driving a stolen car, but both her and the other occupant were released. The car had been leased by someone else, and it was a rental car, and she didn't know that it had been reported stolen.
So was the car, or was it not stolen?
The car was reported stolen. It sounds like it was a rental car that hadn't been returned and was then reported stolen. The woman driving the car who posted this video was not charged because she didn't have the knowledge that it was stolen. And it's just unfortunate that here a very, very difficult situation, and all this drama is created when someone wasn't even arrested. They were detained and released when they were driving a stolen car.
Is the body camera video from the incident over the weekend, is that being released?
What incident over the weekend?
The one where officers responded to the incident where they were getting bottles and stuff from the gun.
That's something that we're still working to put together.
Okay.
So if we have something to put together, we'll release it.
On that one, Chief, was it an erroneous report of a shooting or an incident that led officers to there? Was this a setup?
That was the one on Friday night. I have reason to believe it was a setup. I don't know for sure, but why would someone call in a nature of that call when there's already several hundred people there? And it was clear that it had just turned into, you know, these people were taking over intersections, and it turned into a bit of a block party, which is problematic for us. You know, as a police department, you know, it was a week ago, where the charges were dropped on 68 people for exercising their First Amendment right, is the way it was described, which was completely inaccurate. But that is the problem we're having right now. The police are in a very tough spot. If we show up to people who are just merely exercising their First Amendment rights, it turns into a clash and the police are the bad guys. But we also have people who are now complaining about the lack of a police presence at these protests, demonstrations, whatever you're calling, wanting to know why we're allowing them to take over our streets. And that is the dilemma that law enforcement is in right now.
Would you characterize that incident as an ambush, and if not, how would you characterize it?
You know, that's exactly what it is. It's an ambush. I have no other way to describe it. When there's that many people out there and clearly no one had been shot, it was just a setup to get the cops there.
And you said there were hundreds?
There were hundreds of them. We ended up actually calling every single police officer that was available that night to respond there, from New Tampa to South Tampa.
And about how many ended up responding?
Well over 100.
Officers.
Yes.
One, in the press release put out over the weekend, it said that one person was taken into custody. Were there others that were taken?
No, there's only one person arrested. You know, we're trying to be very strategic in who we arrest, and it's become problematic. What they're doing is they're throwing stuff and then running. And so it becomes difficult for law enforcement as to when is this a block party, when is a peaceful demonstration, and it's become quite the political quagmire for our cops, and what do they do as far as taking action? And right now I think the officers feel like they can't win. And I would have to agree with them. They can't win.
And so at this time, I'm guessing you're piecing through all the body cam footage, trying to identify these individuals who are throwing items.
Yeah. But it's that, as you know, that's very problematic, very slow, and you can't always identify the person.
Chief, you talked the other day about morale with the department, and that it's very low right now because you're placed in this incredibly difficult situation. You have citizens who are saying they have the First Amendment right to protest, take over intersections. You have other citizens who are saying they shouldn't be blocking our streets. Is there any effort by the city to have ongoing discussions with those individuals who are organizing these events about having communication without disruption?
You know, not right now. You know, I think the biggest problem, nobody wants to listen when you try to communicate with them. When we would try to assist, we've had a history of assisting these protests, demonstrations, whatever the right word, whatever the politically correct word is today. I don't know if they're demonstrators or protesters. We've usually helped them with this, and then they have complained that we're now steering them where they want to go. When we show, we get accused of excessive force, and so you can't fight with someone who's not there, so we're not showing up anymore. But now we've created another dilemma of people are getting stuck in traffic. There's been complaints. There's complaints that have damaged people's cars. We're getting complaints that there's, you know, destruction of property. You know, they've spray painted certain things, items, sidewalks, cars, and things like that.
Chief, the incident early Saturday morning, do you believe that that was a protest or a demonstration, or was it more of a block party, or do you not know?
I think it turned into more of a block party. The dilemma we have as a police department is if we're allowing them to take over the streets of downtown Tampa to exercise their First Amendment rights, if we're allowing them to march through Hyde Park, we're allowing them to go to where do we draw the line? When is a demonstration? When is a block party? This is the dilemma that law enforcement is in, and you know we're in a tough spot right now. And I feel for the cops. You know, the cops, the pressure that our police officers are under right now is incredible. You know, how would you like to be the police officer who arrests somebody that could end up spurring more riots in the city tonight? Just by doing your job, whether you're right or wrong, it doesn't matter right now. No one's listening. We're taking any justified action is getting twisted.
How was it? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. How was the officer doing that? Wasn't taken to the hospital Saturday?
Better, much better. They're gonna be fine, but it's been some violent acts. People are acting out. They think they can get away with doing whatever they want towards the cops. you know, we're going to use the necessary force to take people into custody, and I think that's what people need to understand. The cops aren't going to lie down. You know, we're going to go out there, we're going to do our job, but we're being very careful where we go and how we do it.
Are you making, kind of on that, are you making any changes when it comes to department protocol when you have a situation like this where, you know, you described it as an ambush? Are you sending additional officers on, you know, routine calls that maybe otherwise you wouldn't have, or what's changing within the department, if anything?
Yeah, it was well over a week ago, I want to say about 10 days ago, where I changed the protocols of how we respond. We're sending 2 officers to every call now, no matter what type of call it is. The officers will then determine whether they can leave an officer alone. I'm very concerned.
The police, he was following the protocol, but the lady was recording him. What do you say to people that are recording the cops when they're following the protocols or what they're supposed to do when they find a stolen car?
Well, I have no problem with people recording the police, and I think that's what is important. I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is when you're editing video and posting things that just aren't accurate, that just didn't happen. And then they're going back now, this particular person went back and has already edited the post that they put up originally. That's where it's problematic. I have no problem with anyone recording the police. If that makes them feel comfortable, makes them feel safe, by all means, they should do that.
Last question.
Chief, just your message to residents tonight after this weekend and what happened and moving forward.
You know, I want the good people who support the police to start stepping up. I need them to step up and support their cops. You know, the cops, I think we're starting to gain traction again. The pendulum has swung, and I think it's now starting to swing back, that people realize that we have to have law and order. But we need to define what law and order is. You know, we're in a tough spot. No matter what we do, it feels like we can't win. And so I need the good people to step up. If you're sitting in traffic and it's being, you know, blocked, you need to step up and complain. You know, we've got to have law and order in this town, and we need people to decide what's going to be prosecuted, what's not going to be prosecuted, and what's acceptable. But, you know, right now, the police, we always have everyone's back. Nobody has ours right now. And that's what I think is missing here. It's the cops, we always step up. You know, every one of these people who's out there protesting that are against police brutality and against the police, when they call 911 tonight, we'll go and help them. And I think that's what's being missing. Some of these people are just hypocrites, and they're out there saying things, and yet when the boogeyman comes knocking, we'll show up, they won't.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.